Here's the moment of truth. All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex Whittick, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now today, guys, I'm super excited. I'm gonna be bringing you Mark 5 TDI content. Also, we're gonna be bringing you TT content, guys, and we're gonna be doing a 20,000 subscriber giveaway. So make sure that you're subscribed and you hit that post notification bell because you don't want to miss out. Also, follow my Instagram at tilted_TDI. And if you do all those steps, make sure you go down in the comments and you say done. Also, guys, I'm excited because I just ordered the turbo flange for the KO4 turbo that we got. So we're gonna be doing the hood exit exhaust. If you guys missed that video, hit the link in my description and you'll be linked to the video where we talk about that, but don't hit that link until this video is over because you don't want to miss out on today's video. So guys, I also went ahead and I ordered the double adjuster for the camber arms on the TT because we're going to be using our old stock camber arms. They are a square tube, so I have a set of bungs at home, so all I had to do is get a double adjuster, so we'll be able to thread out or thread in on the upper control arms on this TT, so we'll have crazy camber in the rear. But let's jump into today's video. I'm excited. I hope you guys are as well, so let's get to it. As before we jump into this TT content, which you guys don't want to miss, we have to jump into the TDI and just fix a few things. So back in the day when I first started my YouTube channel, I made a video where I fixed the airlines on my leaky bags, and then the very next day I adjusted the bags, took them out, so the airlines got messed up again and I did not fix them. So I got to go ahead and fix a few leaky airlines, but then let's jump right into this TT. So I just tried to start up the TDI and it didn't start. It's got a dead battery, and usually that battery to charge it up and get everything working like I wanted to would take me about a half an hour. So in order for me to do that, I'm just going to completely skip that out. We'll get that video for another day, but let's jump into this TT. So one of the main issues this car actually has is when I bought it, I didn't know it had this big of an issue. It isn't a huge deal, but if we go ahead, we pop the hood. I've touched on the subject about how the bushings do move around on the front of this thing. Now I thought this bushing was bad, but I actually came over here and this one looked good, but this bushing is bad as well. I was told that this is actually supposed to be so compressed that this is touching this, so it kind of does like a sandwich technique. So essentially my suspension is freely moving. Like if I was to jack the car up, this supposedly would drop, and this is the only thing that would hold the control arm from falling down, which is super dumb. But I have a set of Mark 5 top hats, and in order to get the front camber like we're going to be wanting, we're going to have to use top hats like that or some kind of setup. So let's go ahead, take this wheel off, try to take this strut out, see if we can retrofit a Mark 5 top hat onto a Mark 4 and see our future plans. So the first step that I'm going to go ahead and take is just to jack this car up. I got a piece of cardboard underneath there just to protect the driveway. I don't jack the car up on the driveway anymore without having some kind of protection underneath the jack, but I just want to jack that up. Then we're going to take this wheel off. The wheel isn't tight, it's just impact tight. It's probably got about 50 foot-pounds of torque holding it on. And then once we drop that down, I'm gonna actually just go ahead and loosen this bolt up here. It's not even tight, you can just impact it off. We're gonna take that sandwich plate out, so then the strut will just drop down. We'll take the knuckle spreader, we'll get this thing out of here. So let's get to it. So now that we got the wheel off, I do want to make this point where this little cap piece is now dropped down. Since there's no rubber or anything like that, I'm trying to try to lift this up with my hand and show you guys. Hopefully you can see that movement. I'm basically fighting the spring at that point and the weight of the whole rotor and everything. But if I take this off right now and just back it off, this thing is going to drop to the ground. So we got to take this off carefully. We'll hopefully get it to the ground, and then we'll get this whole assembly out of here so we can see if we can retrofit a Mark 5 top hat. I've looked it up and I don't see anybody that's giving me any information. So let's jump right into it. Let's hope this thing comes out. Oh, there we go. We got this cup here with this washer, which the washer is bent from the pressure, and the bottom of this is actually sheared off. So now that coilover is removed, come over here, and on a Mark 5 usually you would have 2 bolts here and 1 bolt here, and the top hat, that's how it'd be secured. But on this Mark 4, it's like a sandwiching plate where it actually tightens down. On here, it's supposed to be nice and tight, but as you can see, mine are super floppy and blown out. New ones are about $20, but if we're trying to achieve camber and stuff, we're gonna have to go ahead and just drill new holes, and I'm excited to get into it. But this is obviously all blown out. Now the spring is all loose, so whoever did this didn't do the preload right. I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into it. Let's go ahead, let's try to rip this out. And also there's a height adjustment sensor on the on this thing, and it's all come apart. It's kind of cool that the TT has a height adjuster from factory in 2001, but it's broken. It's got a plastic arm, so whatever. We got most of the stuff that I'm going to need laid out on the ground. Now we're still not sure if we're able to get this top hat on here, but we're getting a kind of an idea. So here's what a Mark 5 top hat looks like. This is a Mark 5, Mark 6, whatever you want to do. A lot of people with Mark 4 Jettas, when they bag their cars, they take a Mark 5 top hat. They basically take a setup, and if they want camber, they go ahead and they put these in there. They re-drill new holes inside of the top hat. Now re-drilling the holes isn't the hard part, but one thing I have noticed is that the strut itself, the threaded part, is much thicker. The strut rod, I'm not really too sure with the technicalities of it, but if I take off this spring here, right underneath here, I don't know if you guys can see it too well, but you can see the threaded end of this shock. Now, that threaded end is much bigger, so I cannot fit this spacer on there. What this spacer does is basically goes from the bottom, and then you put this top hat over that, and it slides over onto the spherical bearing. So if we flip this over and we go to put it in here, it fits right in. It's a little bit snug because that top hat hasn't been used in probably like 4 years. It's rusty, so that's why it doesn't fit. But if I just gave it a light little tap, it would fall in there, and the strut itself is supposed to go through this to center it all out. Now, when I go to throw this over it without that spacer, it's super wobbly. So what I could do is put this on the bench, drill it out so it's basically paper thin, and it will seat everything around super smooth. Now, the one problem I run into is how am I going to go ahead and press this all down? Now, what I could do is slide this over the spring, put a washer on the top here. This right here would sit on top of it, essentially like that, and then we could go ahead and put this on top of this assembly, and it would honestly work, I would think. Now, I'm not trying to retrofit these today, but I'm getting an idea, so I'm going to go back head in there, look at our options, and I'll get back to you guys. Well, you guys can see in that time lapse, but I gave you a brief reference on what I was talking about. I went ahead, I put that top hat spacer on there along with the top hat itself. It's super dark in there, and the reason I actually haven't taken this off is because the sway bar end links are still hooked up. If I run into any more trouble or I want to show the suspension a little bit more, I'll do that. What I'm definitely gonna have to do is figure out the millimeter spacing of the strut itself, so then I can go ahead and drill this out, because if I could drill this out, it would totally work. Now, since the top hat of that strut has been smashing around for so long and the bushings have all been rotted away, the rubber and stuff like that, it's been moving around. So this right here is what goes around the threads on there. It's a little seat, it's on there, it's supposed to be on there. It's a little bit of an adapter. Now, this goes on here and it's supposed to be snug in there, but it's super worn out. So that leads to a lot of suspension problems. Now, if I was to reuse this, I would have suspension problems. So if I want to go ahead with this whole setup, I'm gonna have to reorder new caps, but we're just gonna have to keep tackling and brainstorming. Okay, so I decided I'm gonna take the strut out so we can work on it easier and we can talk about it together. So basically, I'm just gonna move this, throw my impact on here to get this sway bar end link off. Get that sway bar end link off of there. We'll slide that out, and we'll slide this out of the cup, and we'll be able to mess with the suspension. saw in that time lapse, that was my first time taking out a Mark 4 style coilover, so it's a little bit different, but the same exact concept. Usually on a Mark 5, you just loosen up the main bolt that sandwiches it on the back side, comes through here before you use the spreader, and when you spread it, you don't need to take the bolt out and it just slides right out. But with this, it's got this like little hook right here, so I actually got a little bit of hiccup on there. But anyway, we got this out. Now we can go ahead and we can at least measure this thread. That thread is probably like 17 mil or something like that. I'm not exactly sure on what it is, but I know on a Mark 5 it's like 14.5 mil. So on this it's definitely a little bit thicker. It's not exactly the same, where when I go to slide the spacer on there, that would slide right on a Mark 5 very easily. This right here doesn't want to go on. It's definitely a different size, a little bit bigger. So all I would really have to do is just grind this down. We'll basically put a drill bit through it, get it nice and wide. Then we would go ahead and we would sandwich these stock pieces back on here. Then I would throw this on here to make sure everything's nice and level. And I see how that sticks out a little bit, protrudes. This would sit right at there on that. And then this top hat would go on, and everything would work, and then we'd re-drill the hole. So that's kind of the idea I'm working on right now. If you guys are looking to do this on your car, definitely don't go ahead and do it before I do it, just so you guys have at least an understanding if it would work or not, because I would hate for someone to go ahead buy parts thinking that they're just following along with me and then it just doesn't work. So use me as a reference, and let's work something out here. The reason I even have these top hats or these spacers in the first place is these are from Airlift Performance bags, and the reason I have them is because I tried to achieve more than -10 degrees of camber on Airlift bags back in the day, and it just simply didn't work. So I ordered top hats off of like Facebook, a Mark 5 page. The kid just sent them to me, and then I ordered these from a company who just supplied Airlift parts. So I have these just sitting around. They're getting rusty inside and they're junk. So just to get the idea, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna drill this out to the right spec, and we're gonna take a micrometer. We're gonna find out what those threads are, so then we get the right drill bit, drill through this, and just see if we can get everything nice and tight, and see if this would potentially work, you know, because that'd be awesome if this would work, and other people could do it as well. All right guys, so I got my micrometer here. Now let's go ahead and let's see what this is. Also guys, if you guys have a micrometer, you have this part with these really sharp parts right here, but then you've got the flat edge in the back. So you wanna go to the flat edge, tighten that up, gonna pull that off. We want it to be snug. Now that is looking like exactly 1/2 inch. Now 1/2 inch to millimeters is, I believe it's 12.7. Yeah, 12.7, and I know that the Mark V thread pitch is 12.5, I believe. I could be wrong, so it's not that much bigger on this thread here. But let's go ahead, let's get a drill bit and let's drill this spacer out, because if we can get this thing sandwiched and working the right way, we might be able to convert a Mark IV coilover or an Audi TT coilover, same exact idea, into a Mark V top hat. So if this works, guys, anyone could do it, so let's do it. Hoping everything's gonna work out. The biggest drill that I even have is 1/2 inch. Now on my micrometer, it actually shows that it's a little bit bigger. Maybe it just slid a little bit, but you can't really see it. But there's 10 markings on there, and in between the markings, there's a little bit of a space, obviously, and there's a little bit of that little bit of a space showing on my micrometer. It's not too detailed. It just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can't get all the perfect details on this thing. It's just a bad Harbor Freight one. But I'm hoping that if we drill through this thing, it'll just slide right over. So let's cross our fingers and let's hope that this works. So let's drill to it. Now I ran into an issue that I realized now. These are performance top hats, airlift performance top hats. The bag itself is called performance, and then you have the Slam Series bag. Now I tried converting a Slam Series bag on a performance top hat, so I ordered all these parts, and I actually forgot that the reason that was even rusting, it's galvanized, or it has zinc plating on it, so it shouldn't be rusting. So I've already drilled that out to 1/2 inch. So it's obviously a little bit off. Like I said, my micrometer does show a little bit of space. So I went ahead and I bored it out and I moved it around a little bit. Maybe it'll give us a better idea. So I guess that is a little bit bigger than 1/2 inch. So maybe it's like 13 millimeters, just a little bit off. But I'm gonna try to slide that on there. But if I can't, that's the biggest drill bit I have. So we're kind of at a standstill. But at least I'll be able to figure out my idea by tightening everything down and without that spacer, because all that spacer really does, it centers the strut inside of the top hat, so there's no movement really. But let's go ahead and let's figure out what we can. It's probably not gonna fit, but I got it right here. I'm like really praying. This thing is a make or break right here. So let's go ahead and let's try to get this on. Please, please, please. Ah, it's so close. It's so close. I wonder if the side that I drilled will fit. So that side fits. I'm gonna go flip this thing and let's see if we can get it to fit. So obviously I'm not gonna hone this thing out perfectly, but the method I've been going with here is pressing on each side pretty hard and then working my way around. And I've actually gone outside and I've test fitted this on the coilover strut a few times, and we're actually about to have it slide on there really smoothly. Now obviously the hole won't be perfectly circle, but it'll at least give us an idea where we can tighten it down and we can see where when it's compressed is there movement and what can be basically be enhanced. So we might be able to get this Mark V top hat on this TT top hat and do a little conversion. So I'm excited. Hopefully this works. This hole really nicely bored out. I'm really hoping that this is gonna work. So here's the moment of truth. Ooh, it's a little bit snug. It's a little bit snug. So when you usually do this process, you wind up widening the outside lip, and then you flip it and you widen the outside lip, and then you try to basically get the cone shape out of the middle. So that's what I'm gonna do. We're so close. We just gotta do it a couple more times, test fit it, and might be able to throw this assembly together. As I did it a couple more times, I had to run back to get the camera, but look at this. I got it to slide on here perfectly with a little bit of wiggle, the slightest little bit. It's not the biggest deal. This is just for testing purposes, so that's sitting on there good. Now when we take this off, this top hat right here, now the problem is that when you take this off, this centering ring right here, obviously this is all worn away. This is all supposed to be super, super tight to each other with no movement at all. Obviously we're gonna need to get a new one of those, but for testing purposes, it's not the biggest deal. When I go ahead and I throw this on there, now one of our issues is there's nothing keeping this from coming off. So I'm gonna have to try to build something off of this because this is flush. Now when I get a new top hat piece right here, basically I have to have like a thick washer type setup just to keep this all compressed, but that's no big deal. And then I'm just gonna throw that on there, and then this is gonna go on here, and we'll have our Mark IV swapped to Mark V top hat, and we'll just have to re-drill some holes on this TT. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna go and actually put up a parts list. I'm gonna have to get new pillow bearings and a whole bunch of stuff, but with these top hats, I'll be able to convert this. Now, there might be somebody out there who did this, but I couldn't really find it. I did some quick research, but I'm really excited for that and just whipping something up so we'll be able to get this all sandwiched onto here. Maybe even another additional spacing to get this up to at least like here or something like that, just because we're gonna need to have that force down on this, and we want nothing to rub away or anything like that. But what's gonna do all the articulation on this is gonna be this little pillow bearing in here that does all the work. Now this pillow bearing is all destroyed, but that is no big deal. I believe it's like $8. You take out this circlip right there, there's a circlip holding it in place, and then you just throw a new one in there, so that's really easy. It's a real shame that this is actually all worn down, because we're gonna have to get a new one of these, and that's no big deal. But we're gonna have to work out a spacer and stuff like that, but at least we're getting the idea. So yes, I do believe it is possible to put a Mark 5 top hat on a TT or a Mark 4. Same setup, same idea. So I'm excited about this. Let me know down in the comments if you guys are excited, and if this is something that you guys might potentially do on your Mark 4s or your TT or whatever vehicle you're using that's doesn't have a top hat like a Mark 5 with a Camber top hat. So guys, if you stayed this long in the video, definitely comment down below I stayed. I always love to see who's interacting and who's staying with the videos and who's enjoying the videos, because it means so much to me to see you guys interacting with the videos and me commenting back and just building that relationship. I can't stress it enough. I love building a relationship with my viewers. There's nothing that feels better. I see names pop up and I always comment back to them. I try to comment back to everybody, and if I don't, just know that me liking it means I read your whole entire comment. I read them every time. There's not a time that I don't read a comment, and if I do leave it on read, I go back to it a couple days later, and I literally will not. If I read something, I'll like it, or if it's mean, I'll dislike it, but I always acknowledge every single one of the comments, and I try to. And luckily we're in the stages of my YouTube channel being pretty small, so I'm not bombarded with comments to the point where I had to skip a few. But yeah, it's really amazing that I'm building a connection with you guys, and all you guys who are here from the beginning. This means so much to me, so we're building this. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. Guys, I'm actually gonna be wrapping up today's video. I'm not even gonna go ahead and put that car back together. I'm gonna leave it on the jack so I can get kind of an idea if I need to work something out. I'm gonna have to go find parts and stuff, so that car's gonna be suspended in the air without that coilover setup, so I can maybe, if I need a part or something like that, I can go run outside, measure stuff, and get a whole idea of the gist of what we're gonna need to do, because we are gonna be doing this so we can add camber to the front of this car, and I'm really hyped for it. I hope you guys are as well. But guys, that's gonna end off today's video. Comment down below what kind of cars you guys are working on in this quarantine, and I honestly would really like to hear that. What kind of cars you guys have? You guys have Mark 4s, Mark 5s, Mark 6s? Do you have Japanese cars? All cars are welcome. I love all cars, all platforms, muscle cars, whatever you guys got. Comment them down below so I can know what my viewers are driving, what my viewers are working on, and all that cool stuff. So even your siblings, what do they have? So guys, on that note, we're ending the video here. I hope you guys smiled. I hope you guys got that burst of entertainment that you guys were looking for out of my video, and just know that I'm hyped, and you guys should be hyped too. So just keep smiling, don't let anyone put you down, and just love your car, love your build, and keep up the good work, guys. And it's gonna get better, and I hope to meet a lot of you guys. So I'm gonna peace out, and I hope you guys have a good one. Hope you enjoyed. Adios. See you in the next one. Peace.